Story 1. Taken out for dinner that I did not want to attend because I wanted to stay home and sleep for work the next morning. After everyone ordered excessively while I only had a beer and the cheapest item on the menu, I was left with the bill. I no longer speak to any of those people. Story 2. So it was my birthday. My aunt and cousin came to a small party my mum had thrown for me. My mum and I were really low on the poverty scale. My aunt and cousin were the opposite, doing really well for themselves. I opened the present they got for me. It was a Nintendo 64 with Mario. Used, but that didn't bother me at all. My cousin was really spoiled. She had a Nintendo but rarely used it and never appreciated it. So I assumed it was her old one. Keep in mind, this was put into an old box. It was wrapped up and given to me to open in front of my friends. At the end of the party, my aunt started packing it back into the box, telling my mum she was surprised I didn't play with it when I had the chance. My aunt then took the Nintendo home with her. My present wasn't a Nintendo 64. My present was to use it for the night of my birthday, and it was my cousin's. Summary. My aunt gave me a wrapped-up Nintendo 64 as a present, only for me to find out I was borrowing it for the night of my party. Update. I have removed all communication and ties with both my aunt and cousin. I did this about 10 years ago. The last time I spoke to them was at my nan's funeral. They are horrible people. Update 2. Thank you all for the kind, encouraging words. Yes, she is horrible. I am personally not angry at her. In my life, I actually pity her and how nasty she is. I feel for my cousin, being raised by her and having fallen down the same route. My cousin has a daughter, and that scares me how that child will turn out. My mom is 10 years younger than my aunt, and after talking to my mom as I became an adult, it was very clear how bullied she was by her own sister. When my grandfather died before I was born, my aunt wouldn't let my mom see his body. She is a very nasty person, completely manipulative and power-mad. At the time, I had a Sega Mega Drive, which I loved anyway, and then my mom, bless her, worked hard to get me a PlayStation soon after. I got a job when I was 12 as a bellboy for a hotel, and with my first paycheck, I bought a Nintendo 64. They were cheaper and put a massive smile on my face. It's weird in a way that my aunt gave me a bad gift but valuable life lessons. 1. There are terrible people in the world, and they can be family. 2. People say you can't choose your family? That's not true. 3. Nothing beats the feeling of working and buying something all by yourself. Thank you all again for the comments. Story 3. For my 30th birthday, a friend hired a gay male stripper to come to my house and give me a lap dance in front of my extremely conservative family. Story 4. My boyfriend broke up with me. When I started crying and mentioned how it was a terrible gift, he said, "Oh no, I forgot it's your birthday." Story 5. My aunt once gave me an expired box of chocolates. I did not realize until after I ate one. Tasted like disappointment. Story 6. A blank Walmart gift card. When I went to the Walmart customer service desk and asked if there was any money on the card, they said there was $20 added and then $20 removed from the card on the same day. When I asked my sister-in-law why she gave me a blank Walmart card as a birthday gift, she just laughed and said she did not know. I need to point out that a blank gift card is worse than nothing. With nothing, you are disappointed. However, a blank gift card creates a buildup of excitement and thankfulness toward the person giving you the card, and your expectations increase. So basically, there is more positive buildup than getting nothing. Then, when you find out it is a blank gift card, you come crashing down from that high, which is more impactful than getting nothing. Story 7. Not me, but a friend of mine received a makeup book for women with dark complexions from her boyfriend. She is white, very pale, and does not wear makeup. Story 8. Toothpicks. My boyfriend said he noticed I use them a lot. Yes, I married him, but I choose my own gifts now. Story 9. I was maintaining a year of sobriety for my mental health because it had gotten so bad, and I was drinking every day. The 7th month was my birthday, and my family decided it was a good idea to get me a bottle of vodka. Then they quickly decided to take it back because I don't drink. They ended up partying and drinking while I stayed in my room, but they were celebrating my birthday. They never celebrate my birthday. I feel as though they were testing me, but it has never felt right. Story 10. When I was 8, my parents grounded me the day before my birthday. I don't remember the reason for the grounding. They didn't want to cancel the already planned birthday celebration, so I was still able to have it. I got to open my presents given to me by my friends. When it came time for the birthday cake, I blew out the candles, only to be told by my mom that I would not be having any cake. So, I had to sit there and watch my friends, their parents, my parents, and my brother eat the cake. After the celebration was over and everyone went home, my mom took all my presents and tucked them away somewhere, never to be seen again. When I was 11, I didn't have a birthday celebration at all because we were moving to another state. Nobody said happy birthday to me. We didn't stop anywhere to have a nice meal. Nothing. I was stuck in a car with my parents and brother, forgotten about, and completely miserable. Story 11. One day, on my birthday, my father showed up at my place. It was very unexpected because he usually doesn't remember things like birthdays. You know what he got me? He got me to help him with some heavy lifting. Then he left. He didn't even know it was my birthday. It's a sad but true story, and the continuation is just as sad but true. 5 years later, to the day, I was doing heavy lifting for him again. This time it was at his funeral. He didn't even know it was my birthday. Story 12. I was forced to work 4 hours overtime and ended up missing my own surprise birthday party. Thankfully, my supervisor felt guilty when he found out and gave me $10 when I was about to head home. Story 13. I took an allergy test a month before my birthday. We found out I was allergic to strawberries and shellfish. My partner decided to cook me a nice dinner for my birthday. Fried scallops and chocolate-dipped strawberries for dessert. So, I guess my gift that year was potential death. Story 14. An iPhone box with a raisin inside it. It was strange. Story 15. Does it count as a gift when you get home and realize your brother broke in and stole while you were visiting your grandfather for your birthday? So then that. Story 16. My grandmother gave me a flashlight for my birthday, but it does not compare to the person who received a fake Nintendo 64. Story 17. For context, my parents are divorced. When I was 16, I was going to New York City for the first time with my mom. My dad ended up giving me about $1,000 in cash in front of the whole family, and the card said, "Enjoy your trip." So I assumed it was for New York City. He pulled me aside once the family left and told me it was my mom's child support money. I could either give it to her or spend it in New York City, but I would have to pay her child support with my own money when it was due. Story 18. On my 14th birthday, my entire family forgot. No one said or did anything until my mother left for work around 9:30 p.m. When she turned, she said an absent-minded, "Oh, happy birthday." My older brother turned 17 just 2 weeks before me, and he got to stay home from school, receive presents, money, his favorite foods made for him, cake, the works. On my birthday, I had to do all my chores, which included cooking, cleaning, and laundry, and make my father's favorite dinner. It was like I didn't exist. Story 19. When my grandmother passed away, my grandfather remarried after about a year because he was lonely. The woman he married was very unpleasant. On my 18th birthday, she gave me a cake mix in the bag she bought it in, tossed it to me and said, "Here, go make your own cake." I walked over to the garbage can and threw it in with her standing there. Story 20. Food poisoning. I had to look after toddlers while I was sick. Took me about 4 days to recover, and it was horrendous. Story 21. Not a big issue compared to the devastating stories here, but nevertheless, from the mother of an ex-boyfriend from about 20 years ago, I received an expired shower gel, expired for 2 years at this point, and a scented candle with the 70% discount. Sticker still on. She was entirely like that and always worried that I did not earn enough money to support her child. I was 19 years old, studying and working a Saturday job at a bookstore, while her precious child kept getting drunk every week in a fraternity. Story 22. Voucher for a friend's multi-level marketing business, The Body Shop, here in the United Kingdom. I was already annoyed because it was a waste of money, as I am not really into that stuff, but the voucher was for a low amount, so I would have to spend more money to buy anything. And now they have gone out of business. Story 23. On my 18th birthday, my high school boyfriend, whom I had been with for 2 years, gave me a bottle of perfume and then immediately broke up with me because, in his words, I would marry you if I had slept with more people before we met. He proceeded to call me 2 days later to tell me about a random girl he had been with the night before, saying, "We are friends now. Forget you, Dave." Story 24. Hospital. Languid. Fear. Quiet. Obvious. Extravagant. Truck. Meeting. Imagine. Abundant. Story 25. That Christian book, Never Been Kissed, is about a man trying to promote the idea of not kissing before marriage. I was 23 and no longer religious, but yes, I read it. Story 26. Got a voucher for a gift, written hastily on a toilet paper sheet. Needless to say, I never received any gift linked to that voucher. Story 27. One time my ex got me a coffee maker that we needed for our house and a board game he had mentioned he wanted to try. Story 28. Little backstory. My ex-wife and I have birthdays close together. We did couples therapy, and it was suggested we use our birthdays to give each other thoughtful gifts. I got her 5 small gifts, each accompanied by a letter explaining the memory each gift brought forth for me. She opened each gift, read each letter, and cried. Because she was so moved, she handed me a small box for my gift. I opened it and it was a beard comb, just a regular beard comb. This was the thoughtful gift she could muster. Needless to say, the marriage did not last much longer. She defended her gift by saying she had no idea I would seriously follow the advice of the couple's counselor. Story 29. A bottle of imitation designer perfume was being sold door to door. This person never put real thought into any gift and was always late when it came to my birthday. One Christmas, I received a robe he bought last minute on his way home from somewhere else. Story 30. I had a girl I talked to for years online who was also into Korean pop music. We did a gift exchange for our birthdays and I bought her a few brand new Korean pop albums, which can be expensive, as well as other items. I put a lot of thought into it. She gifted me 2 Korean pop albums and some sweets. It was very nice, except it turned out she gave me her used Korean pop albums that she had kept for years, and she kept all the collectibles from inside the albums for herself. She could have given me a bunch of inexpensive items if she wanted to, but I believe giving me secondhand things she no longer wants is not very thoughtful. Story 31. We do not do gifts in my family. It is almost a tradition at this point. It is not because we do not know each other well enough to buy gifts. It is more that we are not invested enough in each other's lives to care about it. It is no big deal. The last gift I received that somebody purposely bought for me was for Christmas, not my birthday. It was a 4-pack of bottles of olive oil. This was both the worst and probably the best gift I had received in years. I like practical things, and I used that oil for a long time while cooking until it ran out. The flavors were organic cold-pressed, chili-infused, garlic-infused, and lemon-infused. Story 32. The same restaurant gift card 6 years in a row. Don't get me wrong, it is a good restaurant, but not for 6 years straight. No thought goes into that. Story 33. A blue dress made out of cheap, stretchy material was gathered in the crotch at the front and the butt at the back. It would have made Kate Moss look fat. Additionally, the sale tag accidentally left inside showed how much I was worth. Story 34. Not my birthday, but my aunt once gifted a cow to an African village in my name for Christmas. I hope it is doing all right as well as the village, but I only asked for socks. Story 35. The worst birthday gift I ever received was a 3-month gym membership from my well-meaning friend. It was wrapped beautifully, but as I unwrapped it, I felt like I was opening a can of body shame. Like, happy birthday. Here is a reminder of your life choices. I still think I can hear the gym equipment laughing at me every time I walk by. Story 36. I once met a girl in Rhode Island who went to a boarding school. One day, she went home for Christmas and her 16th birthday. Then her parents told her that they were going to be divorced. It was the worst Christmas and birthday surprise ever. Story 37. Court orders me to live with my father instead of my mother. Story 38. Not me, but my son. We were recently forced into van life and were broke a lot because of it. On his 15th birthday, I knew I had to do everything I could to make it special. He is in a polyamorous relationship with two friends he has known for several years, and they are approaching their first anniversary. On his birthday, we were broke as usual, but my sister-in-law loaned us some cash. I got my son a slice of cheesecake, fueled up the van, and drove to the city where there is a zoo with free admission. It's not my thing, but he wants to be a zoologist when he grows up, so he was excited. We had a blast. When we got back, suddenly he was sad. One of his boyfriends broke up with him by text. Very disappointing. The other boyfriend was busy with family matters, so my son had to deliver a second-hand breakup message. Then the other boyfriend broke up with him too. Twice. Very disappointing. I like those boys, and while I am not delusional enough to think their relationship would have lasted forever, I wanted to shake some sense into them for breaking his heart twice on his birthday. Story 39. This was years ago. For some backstory, I was raised by a single mother. We were on government assistance, so there was not much money. For those of you who grew up in the 1980s, you might remember Manglers. It was an action figure that supposedly allowed you to tear the limbs off and stick them back together. I wanted that more than anything. I had been to the store, saw it, knew what the box looked like. Everything. It was all I talked about wanting. At gift time, there was a wrapped present the exact size of the Mangler box. I just knew it was a Mangler, and I couldn't wait to play with it. When I opened the box, it was actually several small terracotta plant bases to add weight, and at the bottom were stickers. Stickers. It was just a trick to make me think it was something else. I remember feeling heartbroken. I later found out that Mangler was a poor quality toy anyway because once you removed a limb, it never went back together. Story 40. In my early 20s, I was struggling financially and had to get rid of my car. I was very depressed about losing that freedom because I loved to drive. My birthday came around, and my dad and stepmom threw a family gathering for both my dad's and my birthdays since they are close together. I received a card from them telling me to look outside because there was a new car out there for me. I called their bluff multiple times, saying they were just joking with me. They kept saying, "No, seriously, we got you a car. Just look out the window." I finally did, and they had placed a Hot Wheels car on the ledge still in its packaging. They proceeded to laugh at me for falling for it in front of the whole family. I have always resented them for that. Story 41. Had a party in elementary school, and not one person showed up who was invited. Story 42. For my 20th birthday, my dad's mother, whom I refused to call grandma because she hated me, gave me the cheapest pack of industrial biscuits that we could find in a store. Yes, you read that right. Story 43. I am a 41-year-old male. My mother-in-law got me shorts that were very short, like the ones Tom Selleck wore in the 1970s. Story 44. An umbrella. I very specifically asked for a kitten. I was 5 years old. Story 45. Bad birthday sex. We were at home together most of the day. Nothing happened until 6 minutes before we had to leave to pick up the kids. She needed to go to the bathroom, so her pants were down anyway. Saves a little effort, I guess. Made it feel like just another box to be checked. No more interesting than loading the dishwasher or taking out the trash. Story 46. I got a framed poster of a random new generation Pokemon. I am a grown man in my 30s and have not played it since I was a kid. Story 47. Nothing. My ex promised for months that he would take me to the aquarium on a date. I asked if we could do it to celebrate my birthday, and he agreed. He dragged his feet the entire time I was getting ready. We got all the way to the parking garage before he said, "There are too many people here for me," or something to that effect. So I asked, and he said, "I don't want to do it." He drove me all the way there just to drive me back. I was in tears the entire drive back. He then decided he was mad at me because I didn't cook dinner. I left him very shortly after. Story 48. Okay, it isn't particularly the worst, but my ex-boyfriend gifted me a book. Anyone who knows me knows that I don't like receiving books as gifts because I like to choose what I am reading. Moreover, the one kind of book I absolutely hate is self-help books. He gifted me a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. I am known to be a decent friend, I am not saying I am the most amazing friend, and socially I do well enough. So I really don't know why he would gift me that, especially 3 years into the relationship. That was the day I knew we were not going to work. Surprisingly, the one time I loved receiving a book as a gift was from him when we had just started dating. It was a book in a cafe that I was admiring, and I asked the cafe owners if I could buy it, but they said no. So he secretly took a picture of that book and got it for me from somewhere else. Story 49. The worst gift was when I went to put on my jeans and a cockroach fell out of the bottom of one leg. Happy birthday to me. Story 50. News that I had severe preeclampsia and had been correct in my pain for weeks. I went in for a second anatomy scan at 24 weeks on my 21st birthday, mid-2020, planning on going out to dinner later with my husband. Within a minute, I knew something was wrong because the technician did not say a word. You could feel in the atmosphere how serious it was. She then asked if my husband was in the car due to no visitors allowed because of COVID-19 and said that I could either have him drive me straight to the other hospital with a level 4 neonatal intensive care unit or have me airlifted then and there. I arrived at the other hospital with a blood pressure of 220/110, passing out from pain. It turned out my daughter had stopped growing at 20 weeks due to reverse end diastolic flow, but she was alive. So on my 21st birthday, I had a team of doctors and nurses rushing me to get triaged. They placed 2 intravenous lines per arm, inserted catheters, and started pumping magnesium. The last clear memory of that day was when they went to insert the catheter, and I cried out, "This is the worst birthday ever." You could hear a pin drop. Everything stopped. All the nurses and doctors hushed me gently and apologized profusely, then went back to working on me. On the flip side, it was also the absolute best birthday gift. For days later, I gave birth to the most beautiful, strongest baby girl ever. She came out crying, opened her eyes, grabbed a nurse with her still fused fingers, and has not stopped making waves since. Story 51. Short pajamas from my wife. When it's warm, I don't wear pajamas. When it's cold, I wear long pajamas. She knows that, but just didn't care enough. Story 52. I have 2 memories. On my 17th birthday, I got nothing. On my 30th birthday, I was screamed at by my husband for 20 hours. Plus all the years my birthday was put on the back burner in favor of my husband's, as our birthdays are 3 days apart. I hate my birthday now. Story 53. This does not compare to some of the other stories I have read here, but there was a period in my life when all I received were Christmas items. I love Christmas, and my birthday is in early December, but it felt like they ignored everything else about my personality. You wouldn't give Christmas-themed gifts to someone in June. Why would you think I wanted something I can only enjoy for a small part of the year? It just felt like an easy way out for everyone, and like they didn't try to get me something truly thoughtful. Story 54. Not a gift, but no happy birthday wishes at all from my mother because her mind is gone. The first time hurt the worst. I have never been very close with my mother, but it is awful watching your loved ones fade away while physically they are still here. Story 55. My partner, 1 year ago, brought me Bailey's strawberry cream chocolates. Knowing I do not like Bailey's or strawberry cream, I was still grateful but a little disappointed. Story 56. My friend I have known since 2015, and his best friend gave me a Rick and Morty shirt, a show I stated I did not like, and an Emily the Strange poster. My new friends, whom I have known for months, gave me my favorite comics and books, including some new ones I became interested in as well. Story 57. My uncle gave me a jar of pickles that he had personally aged in his basement for 10 years. They were definitely well preserved, as they were still there from my last birthday. Story 58. The closest I ever got to any kind of present from my last partner in the 7 years we were together was him coming home after work on the day of my birthday with the special edition box set of a game I really wanted for himself. Story 59. My birthday often falls on Labor Day in the United States, the unofficial end of summer. It was the day we closed up the cottage and headed home for school. One birthday, all I wanted was pizza. All the restaurants were closed, so I got frozen pizza rolls. They tasted like sadness. At least they tried. Story 60. Not me. A friend's husband gave her a scope for his rifle for her birthday. Story 61. My ex-mother-in-law is extremely cheap, even though she has money. She is notorious for her awful gifts to my toddlers. For their birthday, she rescued an old rusted teeter-totter and brought it into our backyard. We had to take it to the dump because it didn't work and was not safe to use. Another time, she brought over a small play car garage where you put the cars down the slide and up ramps, except it was just the ramp and did not come with any cars. So it was completely useless. Story 62. A dog I was not expecting. I worked a lot and lived in an apartment complex. I had no clue how to take care of a dog, much less myself. I gave the dog to my brother, who had a family, a house with a fenced yard, and wanted a dog for his kids. Never give pets as gifts. The potential owner should decide if they are ready for a pet on their own. It is a big responsibility. Story 63. My ex-husband made me think I was getting something special for my birthday and kept hyping me up. When the day finally came, I was dreaming of jewelry or a ring. It was a small box that looked like jewelry, and when I opened it, it was a keychain with my name on it, like the ones you get from souvenir shops. I laughed and said, "Where's the gift you've been talking about?" He said, "That's it." And I was crushed. I wouldn't have been upset if he hadn't hyped me up like that, but I totally expected something else. He complained about me being ungrateful for weeks and always brought it up after an argument. Typical narcissist. This was also in front of friends and family. I was embarrassed for saying, "Where's the real gift?" when everyone actually agreed with me. Story 64. I got a license plate holder when I came home for my birthday. I did not have a license and I did not have a car. I had to take the bus back to college while holding that item. Story 65. Well, none. My ex forgot my birthday altogether until he remembered on his own birthday. I matched his energy with mine and went out with my friends without him. Story 66. For my 18th birthday, I asked for an entry-level iPhone. I received a DVD player. I did not own a television, and DVD players were at least 10 years out of date. I left it at my parents' house when I moved out and have never used it. Story 67. Lots of empty promises. A person I know tends to come to parties and promises to get you a high-value present, which varies each year, but you never receive it. This has been going on for about 20 years now. Story 68. For my birthday, my uncle gave me 2 McDonald's toys that come free with the kids' meals. Story 69. Not me, but my husband. I don't remember which year it was, but he was turning 24 or 26, and we were planning to buy, in the process of buying, or had just bought our first apartment. His mother was excited because she had an idea for a great gift for him. She couldn't wait to give it to him, and she was sure he would be stunned. His birthday came and we went to his parents. She gave him a huge package. He opened it, and inside were 12 frames with his childhood drawings from when he was about 4 years old. She expected us to hang them all over our apartment. He politely accepted the gift, but it was a few years ago, and we still don't know what to do with them. It would definitely be an excellent gift for her, but these drawings have no sentimental value to him, and he would throw them away if they were not a gift. They are somewhere in the basement right now, and sometimes she asks why we haven't hung them yet. Every time he comes up with some excuse because we just don't want them on our walls is not an acceptable answer for her. Story 70. My mother-in-law got me a plus-size sweater and one of those free with purchase makeup sample bags. I am not plus-sized, not even close. Story 71. I am reading this as I watch 8-Bit Christmas. The emotion is real. Story 72. The food processor had the features my ex wanted, even though I had sent him a link to the one on my wish list that had been there for 2 years. He took it with him when he moved out a few months later. Story 73. Not for my birthday but for Christmas, my in-laws gave me a doorbell. Story 74. On my 18th birthday, my then boyfriend left me all alone to go to a multi-level marketing conference in another country, leaving me behind and bringing me a basketball he purchased from a gas station. There was a promotion where you get stickers based on the amount of gas you purchase, and you can get a free ball. I don't even play basketball. Story 75. A trip to the emergency room on my 17th birthday for an allergic reaction. Story 76. Fruit pastille ice lollies instead of a cake from my family. I am only allergic to two things, and these are one of them. Story 77. Oh, I have some. My birthdays tend to be lame at the end of November and all. As a child, I was given a sofa cover which was very ugly. My family couldn't understand why I was upset. One birthday, around 20 or so, my partner gave me a rain cover for my backpack. I am just as much of a hiking enthusiast as he is, so I understand it was a thoughtful gift, but it was an extremely awful day. We were visiting unpleasant relatives in another city. The weather was gray and nasty. As way to celebrate, I went to the cinema and then to a cafe with my best friend, who sat on her phone the whole time. Then my dad called for some other reason and somehow forgot it was my birthday, did not greet me or anything. Then I received this rain cover from my partner. I honestly cried on the spot. Story 78. A shoe shine kit for my 18th birthday and a secondhand jigsaw puzzle that was missing several pieces. Story 79. A red t-shirt, a few sizes too big and clearly from a bargain bin. Hey, at least my stepfather remembered that I existed. Too bad my brothers got new bicycles for their birthday a few days later. Story 80. My ex broke up with me on my birthday. She said she still wanted to be friends and insisted on taking me to dinner because it was my birthday. So there we sat across from each other, eating in complete silence. It was the most awkward thing ever. At least I did not have to pay. To my future wife who reads my posts, sorry I talked about her. But this story was too funny not to share. Story 81. A small stuffed pink unicorn. I was a goth 15-year-old. Story 82. Nothing and zero greetings. I was married too. This went on for years. Story 83. Christmas exercise clothes I did not ask for. Thanks, now ex-husband. Story 84. A few years ago, Dad wrapped up a picture that I used to have hanging in my childhood room. He found it and thought I had never seen it before. It already belonged to me as a child. Story 85. Laser hair removal device. My mother gave it to me and pointed out that it had an attachment and setting for facial hair, specifically for my chin hairs. I opened it in front of my in-laws. Story 86. Nothing. My birthday is a month before my girls. Last year she didn't buy me anything since I didn't tell her what I want. While I spent around $700 on her day, taking her out for the weekend, including a hotel, restaurants, and a real gold chain with her name on it, I still didn't get anything. This year I asked her for a PlayStation 5 2 months ago and didn't get it either. I haven't bought her anything either, but it really sucks. My love language is gifts. Giving someone something they want without them asking for it, or remembering a conversation and buying that thing for that person just shows you actively listen to them. Getting or giving nothing is very disappointing. I'd like to think I'm easy to buy for, as I have very specific things I like and am a fan of, but I'm still waiting for the first time she gets me any of those things. Being together for almost 9 years now doesn't help either. Story 87. When I was 21, I was in a lot of debt. My father said he wanted to help me out and that he would make a few payments for me, not pay it off, just make a few months of payments. On my 22nd birthday, he gave the bills back to me. He had made no payments for 5 months. This was before online bill payment was available. Story 88. My birthday is close to Christmas, and we were poor growing up. One year, I really wanted a gold chain, so my mom agreed that I could have one, but it would be instead of all my birthday and Christmas presents. My aunt said she knew a place that sold nice jewelry. When my birthday came, I received nothing. Christmas arrived and I got my chain. The problem was it was fake. Turned my skin green and soon started rusting. Story 89. At work, I would do birthday pranks. I would deck their desk in clear wrap and foil. I placed 500 rubber ducks on one desk, used streamers and filled my boss's office with over 500 balloons. But for my birthday, after my lead left, no one remembered. Not even a happy birthday. I was the only one with a birthday that month. They combined birthdays over 2 months, so another girl had a birthday the following month, and everyone assumed the cake was just for her. After that, I stopped doing birthday pranks and stopped putting effort into celebrating people. Story 90. I wanted a silver watch to match my switch to silver rings and earrings from gold. My boyfriend got me a gold watch. I asked if we could exchange it. He hesitated, then admitted he got it from a pawn shop, so no returns or exchanges were possible. The watch I wanted was about $30, nothing extravagant. Why the pawn shop? Story 91. My friend is an amazing crocheter. Every birthday or Christmas, she gives me a hat that is far too small or a stuffed animal she made. I am 43 years old. I end up donating the hats or giving them to children in my family. It is the thought that counts. I would definitely wear one of her beautiful hats if it fit me. Story 92. It's really not that bad, especially compared to most of these. But for my 15th birthday, I didn't get anything, not even a cake, which was fine truly. I barely got any acknowledgement, so I made myself some self-sauce pudding as a birthday cake. Mum saw it, laughed with me about it, and said she would get me a cake the next day because she felt bad. She got me a strawberry and white cream cake. I have never liked strawberries or cream icing. Story 93. In 1975, long-haired hippie college student me received a lime green polyester leisure suit in the mail from my mom. It was from Sears, and Mom included a gift receipt, so I returned it for credit and got something I needed. I can't remember what. I phoned Mom and thanked her for the birthday gift and told her I really liked the color. I never told her I traded it in at Sears. Story 94. I don't really care about gifts, but I have to say the card I got this year from my parents meant a lot. I turned 50. I thought it would be the first time since I had children that they acknowledged it in some way other than a card. Not a huge gift, but something thoughtful. We went out to breakfast, so perhaps even them buying my meal. I wasn't upset that it was only a card. It was a cute, funny card. The note inside talked about how hard it was to raise me. Story 95. Tickets to a concert for a band that I dislike. My ex wanted to see this band, and I was very clear that I did not want to go because I disliked their music. He bought the tickets anyway. Story 96. I'm sure there have been worse situations that I don't really think about, but I always gave my family and my mother well-thought-out gifts. One year, my mother called and had obviously forgotten all about it. Whether she called late that day or the next day, I'm not sure. My gift was that she told me, when she came to visit next, we would go horseback riding. She never came to visit me. It was never brought up again. I eventually went no contact. Now this question has brought back some memories. No matter what I asked for, even if it was something small like a hardcover book, she would always get it wrong. Story 97. Back in the 1980s, when I was about 30, there was a fad for fake fur jackets. I did not like them, and something about the materials used to make them made me sneeze. My mother and I had a contentious mother-daughter relationship. My mother tried to control everything I did. Despite my being married and living in my own home, she thought the jackets were adorable and kept wanting me to buy one. So, for my birthday that year, she gave me 3 yards of a hideous bright red fake fur and told me I needed to make my own jacket since I would not buy one. Sigh. Story 98. My mother bought me a pair of shoes 2 years ago that were too small, even though I told her my size by text message. They did not fit, so she gave them to my sister. I did not receive anything for my birthday. Story 99. My girlfriend and I went out and did things that only she wanted to do. She then told me she had made a tattoo appointment for that day, so we had to go get her tattoo. We came home around 6 p.m. After a few hours, I got ready to eat and drink a little at a Mexican restaurant, since I wanted to at least do something for my birthday. After I told her, she realized it was my birthday and apologized repeatedly, but I was too upset, so I left to eat. I had a late-night Mexican dinner because my girlfriend was too selfish to realize it was my birthday. Story 100. Not a gift, but both my mother-in-law and my aunt brought German chocolate cake for my birthday. I don't love chocolate cake and I hate coconut. I didn't say anything, but I thought it was funny. Story 101. My mom caught an attitude because I was a depressed teenager while we were in the mountains on one of my birthdays. I apparently was not happy enough. Quiet, nerdy, introverted. She stormed out with my stepdad, leaving my grandparents and me to peacefully blow out candles and have cake with tea. This part was lovely. She returned hours later with a Little Miss Princess mug. I was a bit hurt because mental health was something I had been struggling with, and she did not want to understand. Story 102. Tickets to an event I was not interested in but my ex wanted to attend, combined with red roses, even though I had already told him that I am not a fan of receiving flowers. Story 103. My mom got scammed out of $40 for my 18th birthday. We had agreed on the gift I wanted, and she asked me to send her the link to the cheapest one. Normally a $300 product, I found a listing around $200 that still had decent reviews. She decided to go to a random Chinese website that did not exist the next day instead, and claimed it was shipping when I asked months later when it would arrive because the listing I sent her said shipping would be in around a week. She also bought me a small one-person birthday cake. We both had a few bites and put it in the fridge. She ate it all by the next morning and laughed hysterically when I was upset because she could always buy me a new one, and I knew she always made it up to me. She did not. Story 104. After Christmas one year, I mentioned to my husband that we needed a New Yorkshire pudding tin. 2 weeks later, he gave me my birthday present, a New Yorkshire pudding tin. I send him suggestions for gifts now. Story 105. My grandparents gave me a certificate when I was 10 that said I had $50 in the bank to use for college when I turned 18. I never received the money because my parents lost the documents needed to access it, so I essentially got nothing from my grandparents for my 10th Christmas. Story 106. Everyone except my parents forgot my 15th birthday. I received one wish throughout the day, and when I told her that all my other friends had forgotten my birthday, she told her mom, who gave me a pity wish. I was down for a week after my birthday and did not leave the house at all. I stayed home in bed all day, sobbing. I eventually told my friends later that day that it was my birthday. I texted them during our group chat. One person replied and said, "Oh yeah, happy birthday." I had never felt sadder before. I cried as soon as I saw the message and asked her to delete it because I felt embarrassed and sad, wanting to pretend it was not my birthday. I guess she told everyone else because I soon started receiving birthday wishes from all my other friends. I had never felt as lonely and alone as I did that day. Since then, I have never appreciated birthday wishes more. Story 107. My mom gave me a coupon to Michael's in a card. It was a 15% off coupon. Story 108. I was used. A family member asked me to cover a shift at our family business so she could leave on a cruise. She said another family member would relieve me. At first, I said no because it was my birthday and the only day of leave I had left for the year. I had made plans to enjoy my day. I was guilted into agreeing after being misled into believing it would only be a couple of hours early in the morning. Long story short, I wasn't relieved until late in the evening. The day was over, and I had to go get my child from daycare. Bummer. Even though I got paid, I realized how family can use you and not care. I guess the lesson was seeing people as they really are. Story 109. My wife gave me a phone charger for my 50th birthday. No party, no special dinner, no cake. This was the point where I started questioning the viability of our marriage. I gave her diamond earrings and a 5-day trip to New York City when she turned 50. Story 110. A happy birthday, text a day late from my then boyfriend. Story 111. My mother's breast cancer diagnosis. She has been in remission for 5 years and is doing great. Story 112. A massive argument with my now ex-wife on my 50th birthday. I wanted to go for a quiet walk in the woods, and she wanted me to want to go for an expensive dinner in a restaurant she knew I did not like. Story 113. My birthday is 3 days before Christmas. Every birthday present and cake is just my Christmas gift. I either open the gift on December 22nd or on Christmas Day. We grew up in poverty, so I can't even blame my parents. They did all they could. But it just feels unfair that everyone still had the same number of gifts as the birthday person, especially when I was a child. Christmas week, babies unite. Story 114. A ticket for running a school bus stop sign. Lesson learned. Story 115. For my 22nd birthday, on one of the hottest days of the year, my ex-friend and I had tickets to a concert that night. I was looking forward to a relaxing day with my family, then getting dressed to go out with my friend. She made us sit outside the theater from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. when it opened, so we would be the first ones in. The second person after us did not show up until 4 p.m. It was hot, boring, and frustrating because they did not want to go anywhere, not even to get food. They literally had it delivered to the spot where we were sitting. A couple of days later, I got COVID-19 for the first time. Story 116. I thought my dad was calling to say happy birthday. No, my grandfather had died. The next year, I thought my stepmother was calling to say happy birthday. She wanted to check in because it was the anniversary of my grandfather's passing. Story 117. My former spouse served me with divorce papers on my birthday. Story 118. I spent my last birthday in the psychiatric ward. To be honest, it was not the worst birthday. The staff brought candy, and the other patients made me a card from a coloring sheet and all signed it. I was also given some small fidget toys. Story 119. Well, I usually do not get excluded, but once, I was left out of a takeout dinner that was for my birthday. The excuse was that I was busy and they did not want to bother me. Story 120. Well, I don't get birthday presents often, maybe once or twice a year, so I cherish the ones I receive. The worst gift I ever got was when I asked my father for a book as a reward if I got first place in school. I got first place, and instead of an encyclopedia or a novel, I received a huge French dictionary. Everyone knew that I hated the French language. Anyway, I'm happy that he at least bought a book. 15 years have passed, and I still have the dictionary, and I still hate it. Story 121. On my 21st birthday, my boyfriend and I went to the bowling alley, and he picked up a custom-made bowling ball for himself. I ended up getting very intoxicated at a dingy bowling alley bar on liquefied intoxicating beverages. No gift. I still have the Wonder Ball out in the garage. He surpassed that 24 years later. He died the day before my birthday and our daughter's birthday. Story 122. My mother totally forgot my 12th birthday. I woke up hopeful and tried to be patient, hoping she was planning to surprise me at dinner. I became increasingly despondent when dinner was nothing special. No cake, nothing. She asked me why I was sulking, and I replied that it was my birthday. She said, "Oh," and sent me to my room. A short time later, she called me into the kitchen and gave me a grimy ring she had found in a box. The engagement ring my father had given her. They were long divorced. A month earlier, she had given my sister half a toy shop. Story 123. Why wrap it then? Any adult with common sense would know a child would assume it was a gift. Did she do it just so her friends thought her and got her something? I honestly cannot comprehend the thinking behind this, except that she must have been senile. I think I would have asked my sister, "Oh, I'm sorry. Did you guys lose all of your money?" And then, when she gave me a puzzled look, I would respond with, "Well, it's clear you couldn't afford a birthday gift for your niece. I just hate that this happened to you. I so badly want to ask her what she was thinking and let her know karma will get her." Story 124. My husband is always getting me things he likes or things he thinks I should want. After reading some of these very tearful stories, I will not complain anymore. I am so sorry for you all. Story 125. A book about being a proper teenager. It was from my uncle. Story 126. They lent you a Nintendo for a night for your birthday? Dude, are these people mentally okay? That is very strange. And trust me, I know strange. Story 127. Not me, but my ex was given an old used saucepan from his aunt for his 21st birthday because it was great quality. He was rude too, so I guess it was deserved. Story 128. Got a Nerf gun when I did not even like guns at the time. I have no idea where they are now. Story 129. Stood up. The girl I was dating was supposed to meet me for dinner, drinks, and an evening at my place. She never showed despite many texts saying she was on the way and would be right there. It turns out she had a couple too many drinks while preparing for our night out. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.